This is Show Up as a Leader, a show from People Forward Network, helping you maximize your positive impact on the world by becoming your best, fully authentic self.
Hey everybody, it is Rosie. I am so excited to welcome Gregg Ward to the Show Up as a Leader feed. No, we are not related, but we might as well be. His series is The Better Boss, Essential People Management Skills Every Leader Needs. And he really is passionate about this because he says leading people is a human skill, and I wholeheartedly agree. Gregg is the founder and executive director of the Center for Respectful Leadership. He is an award-winning, best-selling author of The Respectful Leader, and he brings a wealth of experience for real-world people leadership wisdom into every single episode. He is going to be breaking down one specific tangible technique that he leads in the work that he does per episode so that you can put it into practice right away. So not talking about things, not concepts, actionable, practical things that you can walk away and put into practice right away. You're going to hear what it looks like, how to use it, and why that technique consistently delivers result, many times with real life examples and demonstrations. So short episodes, practical tools, and better leadership starting today without overcomplicating things. Take a listen. Gregg, I am so excited to officially welcome you to the Show Up as a Leader family. Yay!
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
It is my pleasure. And for everyone listening, Gregg was just on as a guest. In fact, the last guest episode is his on respectful leadership. So if you have not yet listened to it, you need to go listen to it. But just for the people who haven't yet, Gregg, or to entice them to go listen to it, let's just start with who the heck are you? And by the way, y'all, we're not related, although the icing on top is you have a fabulous last name, although I married into it, so I can't take credit for it. But here we go. So talk to me about your background. We know that you're the founder and executive director for the Center for Respectful Leadership. You're an author, respectful leader. You have an amazing TED Talk. Oh my gosh, you guys, like seriously, I've now watched it several times. It is so freaking good. And I just have to say that you are the epitome of human leadership. You're the epitome of authenticity and transparency and everything around future ready, humanistic workplaces and leadership. Like it comes down to the fundamentals of if we can't be respectful to ourselves, because we can be pretty gnarly on ourselves, but if we also cannot be respectful to others and create that environment, it all just goes south. And so I just think that this series that you're going to do, which we're going to talk about, everybody, he's going to give us a sneak peek, is just so needed. So let's talk a little bit about you, your work, and what led you here.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't know how I got here because it was a really circuitous route. I actually trained and worked as a professional actor, director, writer, and producer in theater. And then one day I fell into this crazy job where I worked with the New York City Police Department on developing a training program using professional theater and improvisation to help them deal with people who were incredibly upset and acting out in public spaces, how to de-escalate them. And the program worked far better than any of us ever thought it would. And that led me a long time ago on my journey towards trying to understand what respect is and how it functions in relationships, and how when we feel respected, we actually reciprocate and treat people with respect in return, and how that works in relationships and eventually how that works in organizations. So that was my humble beginnings all those years ago, and it's led me to where I am today.
I love non-traditional routes of getting us places. And I said this in our guest interview, but there are a lot of places where they're realizing the value of improv in leadership. And it's just valuable in a whole bunch of ways. So I love that. So your series is going to be called The Better Boss. It is called The Better Boss. Where did the idea for it come from?
That's a great question. A number of years ago, kept getting asked by my clients, do I have a workshop on how to communicate more effectively, how to be a more respectful leader? And said no, but I should. And so I put together a virtual workshop that's now called the R Factor Workshop. And in it, people learn about what the nature of respect and how it works in relationships, the neuroscience of respect. And we give them in the second half of the workshop a lot of tools and techniques for how to be a respectful leader and all the different things that you can do in real time, tried and true, proven tools and techniques that really, really work to enable you to communicate more effectively, more efficiently, and have better impacts and results with your teams, the people that you lead. So eventually I thought, well, that workshop is very successful for the people who take it. And I know a lot of people don't necessarily have the time for that, and they really still want the tools and techniques. So I thought, okay, maybe I could do a podcast, and each episode, I introduce one of the key tools or concepts that are found in the workshop. So that's how we got to where we are. And so each episode is truly just focuses on one concept or one tool, and they're short burst, what I call short burst learning. And it takes 20 minutes, and I teach it, then I demo it, and then I send people forth and say, give this a try this today. So that's how we got to where we are.
I love it. And I love that you're designing it with the principles of adult learning in mind. We tend to be on cognitive overload, or the idea of people going to a 1 or 2 day offsite or, intense workshop, and they're going to absorb things. And we do it as well, meaning that like we will do something at a leadership summit as a start of a journey to go, okay, here we go. We're going to introduce you to a bunch of stuff, and then we're going to create the structure and the systems for you to apply it, for you to learn, to kind of rinse, repeat, and keep going. Or we have a courageous leadership program. Again, it's the highlight reel, but I love that you're saying, hey, look, we've got this workshop. Hopefully people will realize I want more and take it. But I love that you're being very practical. And I know we're going to do a little bit today. So talk about, for you, why was it important to focus on one practical skill at a time? And you talk about, we're going to do it, we're going to repeat, and kind of follow up to that. What do they gain by hearing them demonstrated versus just described and talked about? Because I think that's really key to what you're doing, and that's unique on this series.
I have found that, and I'm sure you found this too, most of my clients are super busy. They are overloaded. They got a lot of things they got to get done, a lot of deliverables, and a lot of expectations of them. And if I were to give them a bunch of these tools in an hour-long podcast, I think they would become overwhelmed by them. So I thought, okay, just one, keep it simple, keep it clear, and again, short burst learning. I have found that people can understand it, take it on board, hear the demo, and then immediately, and they may be listening while they're driving to work or commuting to work, and they say to themselves, okay, I got that one. I'm going to try that today. And that is my hope, that each time you listen to each episode, you immediately say, okay, I'm going to try that today. And I have found when I do that with my clients, my coaching clients, that really, really helps them. They're always asking me, Gregg, don't keep asking me what I think I should do. Just tell me what to do. Give me the tool. Give me the technique. Don't waste my time coaching it out of me and assuming I have all the answers. I don't. That's why I'm coming to you, Gregg. So just give me the tool. Give me the technique. Tell me how to use it. Tell me why it's important. Tell me why it works, and I'll go do it.
I love it. That's the supporting people who are on cognitive overload of like, come on, help me out here. So I love it. So let's go back to, what are some of the patterns or struggles that you consistently see with managers and leaders today that we're going to talk about, that you're going to talk about?
I think not only are they overwhelmed and overloaded, but we are living, look, you have to be living under a rock not to know that right now we are operating in what's experts call a VUCA environment: volatile, uncertain, complex, and extremely ambiguous. And that's not just politically, that's socially, that's economically. Things are in complete upheaval right now. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's fear. There's confusion. So one of the things that our teams look to us as leaders for is clarity, is calmness, is focus. And so all of these techniques are designed to maintain your equilibrium, to help you as a manager, as a leader, keep your feet on the ground, lead effectively, lead with respect, because we're seeing a lot of disrespect around us all the time. How do we keep our self respect? How do we lead with respect? And that's what all these tools are designed to do, to help the kind of manager who's in really kind of complete overwhelm operating in a VUCA environment.
As you know, we always talk about VUCA. I've been using it for a long, long time because I love it. It gives us language to remind us that this is the reality that we're operating in. And one of the things that I think is really important about the work you do, I mean, there's so many things, but when you talk about, managers who might be overwhelmed, make no mistake that it doesn't matter if someone is a brand new manager or if they've been leading for decades. It is a shared human experience in this VUCA environment to be overwhelmed, to be on cognitive overload, and to find when you talk about the level of disrespect in the work we do, we find that this VUCA environment does is it activates our innate self-protective instincts. And then we end up showing up behaving like a butthead, even if we don't intend it.
Yes. There's an old saying, I'm sure you know it, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. There's some truth to that. But years ago, I started to amend that statement. And I like to put it this way: when the going gets tough, people get tough on each other. And we drop the niceties, we drop our respectful behavior that we normally would engage in if we weren't so stressed out. And by the way, Dr. Christine Porath at Georgetown University, who's arguably the world's foremost expert on respect and civility, she says that the number one driver of disrespectful behavior is stress. So this VUCA environment stresses us all out extraordinarily, and we drop the things that we would normally do when we weren't stressed out. So if you're operating in a constant stress environment, it's very likely, me too, I screw up too. I make mistakes, I get stressed, I say and do things that I regret, and then I have to apologize for them, and genuinely and sincerely. So at the end of the day, I think we need solid things that we can do to keep us grounded in respect. And that's what this is all about.
I love it. I'm going to add on you. Say, don't be a butthead, be a better boss. There we go.
I like it. I like it. Okay, that's the slogan.
That's the new slogan for your series. Oh my God, I love it. Okay, so you're right. We do. We get stressed and we behave like a butthead, and it's not intentional. And I can do it. We can be snippy with the people we care the most about. We're not as patient. We're not as tolerant. We're not as curious. The list goes on and on. So your work obviously centers on respectful leadership. Obviously, you talk about being stressed, but where else do leaders unintentionally lose respect with their teams?
Well, I think that one of the big challenges for a lot of leaders these days is how they got to where they are isn't necessarily going to serve them when they move into a leadership role. For example, I work a lot with technology companies, really smart people who are subject matter experts in their field of expertise. And then one day someone in leadership says, "Oh, you'll make a great manager." And they get promoted into a leadership role really without any kind of formal or informal training or mentoring on how to communicate effectively, how to give feedback, how to de-escalate conflict and upset, and how to manage pushback on your feedback and defensiveness. So all of these tools and techniques you don't necessarily learn in graduate school, and you don't necessarily get taught before you are thrust into a management role. So we're seeing this a lot, all of the time, and so they're kind of lost, and they're kind of like, I want to do the right thing, but I don't know what the right thing is, and I don't know how to do the right thing, and so they're looking for help, and they're looking for stuff that really works. So when your focus is on technological things all the time, you're in that part of your brain which is thinking, thinking, thinking. Sometimes we completely ignore the feelings. We forget to read the room. and sense what's going on with our teams that's not necessarily spoken out loud, but it's more under the surface. And that's crucial for a manager who wants to be considered a respectful leader.
Yeah. Well, and take any industry, it is so easy to get myopically focused on our technical expertise and what needs to be done. So very transactional, very tactical, very the doing stuff, and we lose sight of the human stuff. So I see it cross industry. So I want to go back to what makes this series different. You talked about skills and you talked about one thing at a time. Can we get a little sneak peek of what that might look like? So listeners, as you're listening, like, ooh, first episode's going to drop February 25th. What can I expect? Like, give us a little taste of what this is going to feel like and sound like for them.
So in the first episode, I'm going to talk about the practices of respectful leadership, which I call the respectful do's. And there are 7 of them. And I'm going to introduce the first one, which is called be the first to respect. Don't wait for others to respect you first because you're the boss or the manager, but be the first to reach out with respect. And you'll be amazed at how that's reciprocated right back at you. So I'm going to demo that and I'm going to talk about that in the very first podcast. But I was wondering, would you be open to hearing about another technique that I think is fundamental to respectful leadership, and then allowing me to talk about it? And then how about you and I demo it together? Would you be okay with that?
Oh, I love demos. This is going to be so fun. Okay.
Okay.
Do I get to put on like an acting hat and pretend I'm, Julia Roberts or something?
Your hat is on already.
Okay.
And I know you've got this. So the tool or the technique or the concept is called respectful listening. It's usually most effective and useful when you're in a conversation with someone and it becomes heated and they become upset or angry or frustrated. And you can tell that you and this other person are not necessarily talking with each other. You're talking at or over each other. And so communication is kind of breaking down. So that's where you can use this respectful listening technique to help them get settled and get back onto the conversation in a way where it's a give and take and you're listening to each other. So here's how it works. It's really, really simple. I'm your boss. Let's just, for argument's sake, you're on my team and you've always spoken your mind to me about what you think is going on. And I'm sitting with you and I'm introducing a brand new policy that I've developed that I'm going to roll out across the team, and you don't like it. Let's just say you're not happy. You think it's a waste of your time. You think it's stupid. And I get a sense in our conversation that you've stopped listening, that you're getting spun up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by saying, wow, Rosie, I could tell you feel pretty strongly about this. So I'm going to acknowledge your feelings, your emotions, your upset.
Right, because I just said something like, this is really stupid and you didn't even think of this and we're already understaffed and what the hell, and they always do this and blah, 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 blah. Yep.
Exactly. And you're running it. You're running a racket there. What I'm going to do is acknowledge that. Because if I try to deny that, you're just going to shut down and stay in your position even more. So I'm going to acknowledge, I'm going to say something like, Rosie, it seems like you feel pretty strongly about this. Have I got that right? And you're going to say, you're damn right, or something like that. And then I'm going to say, okay, Rosie, what I think, and I'm always going to try and use your first name at least a couple of times in this process, because that keeps us connected. So Rosie, what I think I'm hearing you say is, and then I'm going to reflect back what you said, sometimes using your words. I'm going to paraphrase it, but I'm going to be very careful not to add my own spin or offer my own opinion. I'm simply going to reflect back respectfully what you said. And then I'm going to finish with, have I got that right? And very likely I will have, and you'll say yes. And what happens then is you feel heard. You feel like I'm really listening to what you have to say. And what psychologists will tell us, I mean, this is a classic technique that psychologists and therapists use all the time. When people feel heard, they're more likely to calm down. They're more likely to engage in a reasonable, thoughtful discussion and get out of running their upset with you and being in your face about it. the purpose of the tool is to get someone to calm down and get them to have a more thoughtful, reasonable conversation. And it works because people are human beings. They just want to be heard. Just like 3-year-olds, they just want to be heard.
Well, you're right. In fact, research shows it is a core human need to feel like we are heard and seen and that we matter. And when someone listens to respond, listens to defend, listens to argue versus listens to understand, it ratchets up. And you see that all the time in arguments and debates. And I swear why nothing gets done in our world half the time is because we're talking, to your point, we're talking at each other and we don't know how to listen. And there is something, while it's such a basic skill, I've had so many people on this podcast that have work around listening because it is so lacking. And when somebody takes the time to say, I'm not trying to defend my position, I'm trying to make sure I understand, I'm trying to make sure that I'm following you and that I'm not dismissing your concerns, I'm leaning into them. That is a de-escalation technique as well, but it's so lacking. So when someone does that, that is a gift, and I get why that's a sign of respectful leadership. It's a basic skill, but so many people suck at it. I mean, honestly.
You said it much better than I could.
So I love that. So you're going to give an example. You're going to say, here's what I would do. Here's what I would say. Love it. Love it. Love it.
You want to play the game? You want to give it a shot?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay. So I'm your boss.
Okay.
I've just introduced a new policy and you're immediately triggered by that. And Rosie, tell me what you think.
Gregg, what the hell? I mean, I'm sorry, and I'm probably speaking for everyone on the team here, but this makes absolutely no sense. It's going to complicate our workflow. We are already overloaded. We are already short-staffed. Like, what in the hell?
Okay. Rosie, I think you feel pretty strongly about that. Have I got that right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So just so I'm clear on what you're saying, I want to understand it. Rosie, what I think I'm hearing you say is the policy that I just rolled out doesn't make sense to you because it seems like it's going to cause a lot more work. You're already stressed out. We're overloaded. We're understaffed. And you're wondering, what the hell am I thinking by rolling this out? Have I got that right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Okay. So I could go further. At this point, I want to take a time out. So does it feel like, Rosie, we could have a more reasonable discussion about this at this point after me having done that?
Yeah, you know what's really funny is even though I'm totally playing a role and like, I'm like, oh, I get to be this, pissed off employee. What's really funny, Gregg, is even though I'm role playing, as soon as you did that, I felt like my breathing calmed down and like this tightness that was in my chest because I was all, eh. So it's very interesting that physiologically, I felt this calmness come over me like, huh. So I will just share that as that I wasn't expecting. I knew we were going to do a role play, but I'm like, that's really interesting of even just playing a role that I calmed down. So I get why it works because even if I'm like pretending, it still calmed me down. And I'm like, oh, okay. And you even acknowledge, like, you wonder what the hell I'm thinking. Like, yeah, okay. Like, yeah. So that's fascinating. So that's very cool.
Thank you. Thank you for that observation. And what I have found is it works in almost every situation imaginable. Whenever anyone's upset, and can even work with your family, believe it or not, with your kids. Although if you have teenagers, I want a disclaimer right now. I make no guarantees about teenagers. They're from a different planet.
I will, as a mother of a teenager, it depends on the day. Sometimes you just get the snarl and the stank eye, and sometimes you'll get them leaning in. It depends on the hormones. It depends on the day. Yes.
It's amazing. It's amazing. In general, we have found this works in just about every kind of situation where someone is what I call spun up or in high dudgeon, upset, angry, frustrated, all of those things. This can really work. I wouldn't use it all the time, by the way, because I've had people say, oh, you want me to use that all the time? No. If there's no upset and you both are communicating really fast and effectively, why bother? There's no point in using this technique. It's only really helpful when people are upset and not listening.
Yeah. Well, because when someone's in an upset, it shuts down their higher level executive functioning. And so they literally can't hear anything. And it's like the elephant in the room. And so if you want to have learning, if you want to have collaboration, if you want to have connection, if you want to have synergy, if you want to have alignment, you've got to get past that amygdala hijack and you've got to get people to that higher level brain functioning. So I appreciate that distinction of this isn't necessarily all the time. It's when there's something that shows up where it's going to be a barrier for this to be effective.
I love how you put that. You use all these wonderful PhD words, and then you say, then you sum it up like, don't suck.
Don't suck, right? Don't be a butthead, be a better boss. That's gonna be the way that I'm gonna describe yours here.
That's gotta be the slogan.
It's good.
That's it.
We're gonna change it now. No.
Yep, I'm gonna close every episode is gonna close with, and remember, don't be a butthead, be the better boss.
Hey, it's my gift to you, Gregg, for coming on my series. I love it so much. So you told us we're gonna do one thing per episode. You're gonna be very tangible. You're gonna give people things that they can do. We're gonna dig into all the different aspects of respectful leadership. So who is this series designed for then? Probably everybody, but who is it specifically designed for and what are they going to gain from listening to it?
Great question. I have found that people who are coming to the Respectful Leader or the R Factor workshop are either new managers who really haven't had any training in interpersonal communication and de-escalation and feedback skills, or they're managers who are struggling. They're managers who know that something's not working for them, or they've gotten some coaching or recommendation from HR or their leadership or their mentor saying, you know what, you could increase and better your skills on interpersonal communication and conflict resolution and de-escalation and so on. And there's this workshop. So that's the same audience for this podcast. It's either new managers who really are looking for these tools and skills, or it's current managers who've been around for 20, 30 years, and they want to improve their game, get better at being better leaders.
I love it. So would that be the same for, let's say, people who are listening who are more senior leaders or, executive leaders or whatever that might be approaching this series? Is there anything different that you would invite them to come to the series with from a listening standpoint?
That is such a good question. I have had senior leaders in the program who often say, Gregg, I already know this stuff. And my response is, and are you practicing it? Are you actually doing it?
Ding, 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 ding. It's the knowing doing gap. Yes.
Exactly. And I mentioned this before. Many senior managers got to where they are because they were command and control leaders. They were very tough. They got shit done. And so their leadership said, oh, there's somebody who gets results. We don't particularly care if they piss off people, they get results. So they get promoted into leadership roles. And then they wonder why they struggle because command and control or carrot and stick leadership tools and techniques don't work anymore the way they used to. There was a time where command and control leadership was what everyone did. I mean, the Jack Welch from GE days. If you don't do what I say, you're out. That kind of thing. So those leadership methodologies don't work anymore. They just don't work. Everything has changed. So I would say that if you're a leader, if you're genuinely interested in being perceived and generally as a respectful leader, then you would get a lot of value. Are there tools and techniques that you've already learned? Yeah. I'm going to cover those. You've probably heard of them before. There may be some concepts in there that you have not heard about. And we also give you a chance in real time in the program to practice those tools. So I think it really works for just about every level. But what I've found is those new managers or those struggling managers are the ones who really get the most value out of the program.
I so appreciate that distinction. And here's what I will say. I love you talk about, but are you using it? Because I will tell you that over the last several years, and I've said this for a long time, I feel like every leadership book I open up, and my latest one is just coming out, and granted, it has new stuff with our research, but the core fundamental concepts of leadership, nothing really earth-shattering or new is showing up. It's different ways of thinking about it. It's reaffirmation that things have changed. We have to tend to the human side. It's a non-negotiable. The list goes on and on. And just because we know it doesn't mean we do it. And many times what I will say when we're doing workshops is some of these might be things that you've learned before, but you've gotten away from. Because if we don't have deliberate practices in place to keep these things alive, our defaults and our habits and our self-protective version of ourselves will show up. And so I really appreciate that because there's, it's kind of like you see a movie a couple times. I mean, some of these tools that I've been facilitating, oh my goodness, for 25 years, literally every time I facilitate it in my head, I can have this narrative of, oh my gosh, like people already know this. And people are like, oh, it's mind boggling, but it's simple, but it's a good reminder and it's a different way of thinking about it. And you said, you get stuck. I will say that what I find is that I say selfishly, I love that I get to teach this over and over and over because it reminds me and brings me back to it. Because just because I teach it doesn't mean that I don't screw up and forget to use the tool. So I just really appreciate that approach because I always say it's a big red flag of anyone who thinks that they're above development or they've arrived. Like we all need reminders. That's why I have the Rosie in My Pocket series on this show because we need these bite-sized reminders that we get away from. So with that, I said, I'm excited for you to be on this show. I'm just curious if someone's already listening to this feed to any part, whether they're the guest episodes or the Rosie in My Pockets or some of the other amazing partner series that we've had on this, how should they think about your series as part of their leadership journey?
Oh, that's a great question. I think they should think about the Better Boss series as a quick burst of learning, something very practical, very easy, very simple that they can listen to in a very short period of time and come away with one thing that they know works and then immediately go away and practice it. So think of it as like a monthly vitamin B shot. You just get that shot and you get focused and you get grounded and you're just ready to go.
I like it. Your monthly vitamin B Better Boss shot. There we go.
Yeah, I like, oh, you're so good. Okay. I love it. I love it.
That's a tongue twister. Well, I am just really on. I mean, you never know how your paths cross. And when we met and we were planning your guest episode, I was like, holy moly, you need to have your own show. And it just worked out. So I am so excited because I love the approach you're taking. I love that it is just really needed in this place and time with where our world is just across the board. So I am so excited to officially welcome you to the Show Up as a Leader family and listeners. Remember, so Better Boss, don't be a butthead, be a better boss. The Better Boss is going to officially launch where Gregg's going to have his own solo episodes on February 25th. Your series is going to be the fourth Wednesday of every month. A new episode will drop. So everybody, I invite you to listen and tune in. I know there's such synergy with the other amazing content we have on this feed. So Gregg, just thank you for coming on board. Thank you for the work you're doing. I'm excited to learn from you and get reconnected to tools that I forget about because our journey is never done. Our journey is never done to be an effective, future-ready, respectful leader. Run far, far away, people. If you have anyone in your orbit who thinks that they're above development, no, we all need those reminders.
It is my honor to be a part of this family. And you and I are so aligned on many things, including our last name. So I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, my pleasure. All right, everybody, strap on your bootstraps and be a better boss and a respectful leader.
I'm Rosie Ward, and this is Show Up as a Leader. To learn more, head over to peopleforwardnetwork.com and, of course, hit that follow button.